listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Thank you. Thank you. Whoa, I just feel so warm and fuzzy. Hey, can you believe that it's Thursday already? I do have the day right? Thursday. Yes, okay. They told me it's Thursday. It's Thursday already. Tomorrow night is one of those freaky Friday nights here at the Funny Farm. And our guest tomorrow night, and I'll mention more about this later, our guest tomorrow night is a man by the name of Stephen J. Weiss. And he will be on live with me from London, England. Tomorrow night, live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 p.m. UK time. Stephen J. Weiss. He wrote the book called Second Chance. He is a veteran of the Second World War. He was decorated by France, so on and so forth. He will be sharing with us his story tomorrow night. And trust me, it is a fantabulous story, to say the least. So Mr. Stephen J. Weiss, and he will be discussing along with that post-traumatic syndrome disorder. Yeah, I have it, but I can't say it. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But he has studied it, and he is a professor and so on and so forth. But he'll be with us tomorrow night from London, England, live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 p.m. UK time. So pass the word and let everyone far and wide know that he'll be with us tomorrow night. We have a tremendous guest again tonight. All of our guests are incredible. They are absolutely fantabulous. You know, the Espinlove word, fantabulous. Tonight is no exception. With us, we have Mr. John W. Hartmann. Let me lay this over here real quick. Who is a criminal defense attorney out of the state of New Jersey. And he is going to be sharing with us some very interesting things that pertains to the judicial system, not only in New Jersey, but across our great nation. Remember, we have a phone line for you to call in, make your comments, ask your questions. It's a Skype number. It is 302-497-3414. That number again is 302-497-3412. Call in, comment, and ask Mr. Hartmann a question that I may not have asked him. I'm sure I don't always ask the right questions at the right time. So that's why we have a phone line for you, the listener, to get involved. That number one more time is 302-497-3414 or george.espinlaub, Espenlaub. We want you to email us at georgece@comcast.net, georgece@comcast.net. And we anticipate more emails. Thank you for the ones that you've been sending. That is georgece@comcast.net. Let me reach over here and get my dooflicky so I can have the whatchamacallit and the thingamajig. And we're going to bring Mr. Hartmann on. I must tell you before we bring him on, I will not be responsible for any side effects that may occur due to the fact that you decided to tune into the George Espinlove show that comes to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. There will be side effects, but we here at the Funny Farm, the staff, all the people that make up this great place where we live, we cannot be responsible for the side effects. But don't worry about it. You will have more freedom than you ever thought possible if you just let yourself go, let your hair down, express yourself, and become a full-fledged loon like the rest of us here at the Funny Farm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Hartmann. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, George. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Can we get you to talk up just a little bit?
Sure. I'm sorry. Is that better?
Oh yes, that's better.
Great.
I just always, I got a big mouth, so it's not hard. People don't have a hard time hearing me, but and I think everybody's like that. But then it's a good thing they're not. It's a delight to have you, and I'm so thankful that you took the time to spend here with us tonight.
Oh, thanks. No problem.
This I found you on RTIR Online.
Okay.
And we go there quite a bit and find guests. But the heading of it said, "This lawyer says our legal system is set up to fail." That's scary.
Well, I don't know if I actually said that in the book. The legal system, listen, it's like any other system. It's not perfect. But that being said, I'm talking from the point of view of New Jersey. That's where I do all my practice. It's it's a pretty good system. People fall through the cracks. I wrote about that in my book Jacket. But it's actually a couple of different books. I mean, it's 3 different books in one. It's a story about, as you were saying, a man who was wrongly convicted and we managed to get him exonerated at the end, so it had a good ending. But it's also about, it's a good book for lawyers if you're interested in learning how to, set up a practice, how to get clients, how to conduct yourself at trial, how to cross-examine witnesses, give openings and closing statements. And it's also a book about, quite frankly, if a listener is just a layperson who likes Law and Order, it'd be a good story, it's a good book for them to pick up. I have a lot of interesting little stories scattered throughout the book. But it is primarily a book of story about Nathaniel Smith and the trial we had when he was charged with an armed robbery. Here's a guy about 50 years old, never been in trouble a day in his life, through extremely sloppy police work, was charged with armed robbery, somehow was indicted, even worse, was somehow convicted at trial, spent 3.5 years in jail. His case was overturned on appeal. That's where I took over the case, and we had a retrial, and he was exonerated. So that's obviously a very important part of this book as well.
Did I read somewhere that you're originally from Canada?
I was born in Canada. I lived there for 9 months. My dad was not a draft dodger. He served in the Army before. He was getting a PhD up in the University of Toronto. I was born. Lived there 9 months. Have gone back once when I was 13 and haven't been back since.
And when they left Jersey, when they left Canada, they went to Jersey?
They actually went briefly to Pennsylvania. Then I've lived in New Jersey since 1970. I was 3 years old, so I pretty much lived my whole life in New Jersey.
Did you always, from the time you was a young fella, did you always want to be a lawyer?
It's kind of funny. I did. I wish someone had taken me aside and beaten some sense into me. But even when I'm Catholic, and when you're confirmed, you pick a confirmation name, and I actually chose Thomas, who's the patron saint of lawyers, Thomas More. So I kind of always wanted to be a lawyer. I kind of regret that sometimes, but it's not a bad profession. I certainly enjoy what I'm doing. It's interesting. So I've got no complaints. And
you're still practicing law in New Jersey?
Oh, yes, I probably died my desk. Absolutely, to the bitter end, I'm afraid. It's a bad joke how lawyers rarely retire, certainly doing what we do.
There's a lot of, I guess there's a ton of lawyer jokes, that people throw around.
Correct.
But at the same time, we need lawyers.
Well, you know what? Again, lawyers, no one likes a lawyer until they need one. So it's the problem with the legal profession is you don't see a lawyer outside of some rare circumstances unless you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you're automatically going in a negative sense with a negative sense because you have a problem. You got a speeding ticket. You're being sued. You want to sue someone. You were injured. But the only time that I can think of when it's good to have a lawyer is like when you're adopting someone, you've got to get a lawyer. That's obviously a happy occasion. But usually when people need to see a lawyer, there's a beef going on, and that's part of the problem we have as lawyers.
When I picture lawyers like doctors. Used to be there was tons of family doctors, and they did about everything until the age of the specialists started to kick in. And lawyers are pretty much the same, right? I mean, you got people that specialize in this and that and those and these. Was it always like that, even back in the 1800s?
You know what? I like history, and I've actually written another book, a history book about the Revolutionary War. But I like Lincoln. I mean, who doesn't? And I read a lot about his law practice. I'll even talk about it briefly in my book. And, Lincoln was pretty diversified. A guy like Lincoln who was quite frankly, a fantastic lawyer. I have a little section how he would beat murder raps, and he was great at cross-examining witnesses. But he pretty much did everything. But nowadays, you really, it's difficult. I mean, you have law firms which do everything, but I specialize in criminal law. I rarely do anything else. I might do a residential real estate closing, once or twice a month. But outside of that, I'm always in court doing anything from speeding tickets to murder trials.
When you was a young man, excuse me, in fact, you were the youngest Republican elected to the state assembly in New Jersey. How old were you?
Yeah. Well, I was 24 when I got elected. I actually hold two records. I'm the youngest Republican ever elected, and I'm the youngest ex-assemblyman of either party. So I lasted one term. Most of the folks will know this, but in the early 90s, the Democrats raised taxes, and I was still in law school. I couldn't get a summer job, so I ran for the state assembly, literally. I ran in a heavily Democratic area that included the city of Trenton. And somehow managed to get elected. A lot of the Republicans got elected that night. Served one term, did a lot of things. It was a great experience. I was probably a little out of my league, but I learned a lot. I thought I did a decent job. I was not reelected. I lost by 100 votes, but that being said, I would have lost for sure 2 years later. But it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. Got to help people, learn how the political process worked. I wrote about it in my book for a chapter. Have a lot of funny little anecdotes. And it helped me later in my practice because I got to meet so many different people. I got my name recognition out there. It definitely helped me build a practice. I still run into people who I helped or who knew me when I was in the state legislature. I remember a couple of weeks ago I was at the state library giving a talk, and a woman went up to me afterwards, and she said, "You know what? I shouldn't buy your book because you're a Republican." I told her, "You know what, ma'am? If it makes you feel any better, I was a really bad Republican." So she bought the book. She said it in jest. I'm just kidding, but I'm not kidding what I said.
Oh, I've never heard that before. That's pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to tell a book here. I'm not sure what I got to say.
Speaking of the book, where can people get the book?
The book's called Jack at the Trials of a New Jersey Criminal Defense Attorney, and if anyone's interested, you can get it on Kindle or Nook. You can also order it on Amazon. I guess down where you folks are, you probably couldn't get it at a Barnes and Nobles, but you can order it on Amazon or Kindle or Nook.
Jacket.
My name's Hartmann, Hartmann. If anyone's interested.
And the book.
And again, it's not. I call it legal popcorn. I mean, it's serious to an extent, but it's got a lot of funny little anecdotes. And if you're if you're thinking about going to law school, it's a great book. It kind of tells you how to do things. And if you just like Law and Order, I mean, I've got stories about prostitutes who kill people with eyeliner and things like that. It's got a lot of interesting stories in it.
Kill people with eyeliner?
Yes, it's the pen might not be strong, mightier than the sword, but eyeliner is. Let me tell you something. That's a joke. But I have a lot of funny stories. You know, I defended a guy who was selling cocaine, who was a Santier, who was a Barber Larisha, which is a priest in the Santier religion. A very funny story, and just a lot of people. You know, people just do crazy things sometimes. I talk in my book how it's very rare you find like a really good person, like a person like Mother Teresa. Similarly, it's very rare that you find a person who's like evil, like an Adolf Hitler. And most people are just in between, and they just do stupid things. They get caught up in the wrong things. So, you know, I'm here to help people out when they make a mistake.
I want to ask you a question. This this is not about the state of New Jersey or the system there and so on. I have this question that just stays in my mind all the time, and it pertains to the terrorists that we're holding down in Guantanamo, or the ones that we're bringing here to go through the court system. Am I missing it, or where did this ever come up that combatants from foreign lands come to our justice system and receive all the rights of an American citizen?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know why we're treating these people with kid gloves. You know? I don't. I mean, again, I'm a defense lawyer. I don't think I'm a screaming liberal. I'm not. I mean, you know, I'm not. You kind of caught me off guard there, but I mean, these guys seem to have. I don't think they have the same basic rights. They're getting jury trials. I mean, people are fawning. Liberals are fawning all over them in Guantanamo. Certainly, when Bush was there. Now that President Obama, a lot of people don't seem to care anymore. But I agree with you. I don't think these guys are our enemies. They've been trying to kill us. Not only like soldiers. They tried to kill women and children. They should be treated accordingly. You know. Quite frankly, I think we should have just turned them all over to the Northern Alliance, let them deal with it.
Yeah.
It would have a lot quicker than what this drawn-out process we have down here. I mean, we're in a war with these guys. I don't see why a lot of people don't get that.
I call that.
I did not lose a lot of sleep when I heard these guys are being waterboarded.
Oh no. I call that no muss, no fuss. You know.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, whatever.
Yeah,
I got other stuff to worry about.
I'm sorry, John, that I threw you that curveball, but
no, it's okay. I'm glad you did, George. I don't want the people to have an impression just because you're a criminal defense lawyer, you're a liberal. You know, we're not allowing Dershowitz. We're trying to do a job, and we're not crusaders. We're trying to defend individual people's rights, and that is important because, quite frankly, I write about it in my book that, you know, listen, people commit crimes and people can commit horrendous crimes and people certainly should be punished. On the other hand, it's governments which commit atrocities. And unless people are willing to, you know, stand up for the individual rights, that eventually it could become a system where we have governments, even in America, that could stamp on people's rights. I mean, people, look what happened to the Japanese in the 1940s. They just locked them all up. They stuck them in concentration camps on the West Coast. Look what we did to the Cherokee.
Right.
And there are other examples. I mean, even the African Americans after slavery. Look what they did to them. So we shouldn't have the impression that just because we're the United States of America, the only thing we can do is good and we do no wrong. We've certainly done plenty of wrong things in the past. And by defending individual rights, you know, we're standing up to that. We're making sure that stuff like that doesn't happen again.
Let's say, for instance, hypothetical, I get arrested in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And I did one of them stupid things, you know. And let's say it was a serious stupid thing that I did.
Like you had like a half a pound of cocaine on you, George?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You moving weight?
Yeah. So something like that, John.
George slinging drugs. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
So they lock me up. What is the first thing that someone can do, should do, or does?
All right. This is if you're not that your people listening to your show would do something like this, but if anyone in the audience there is caught with first, if you're moving marijuana, you got to make sure it's under 5 pounds, because over 5 pounds is a much more serious offense. Mm-hmm. For cocaine, it should be under half an ounce. But seriously, if you get arrested, the first thing you're going to want to do is bail out. Then the second thing you're going to want to do, and this is, you want to get, if you can afford a lawyer, you want to get a local lawyer. For instance, if you're arrested in Camden, you don't want to hire someone like me because I don't work in Camden. You want to hire the attorney who knows all the people. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you know how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I do a lot of work in Mercer County, which is the capital county, Trenton's here. You would want to hire someone like me. I do some work in other counties as well. But Mercer, you want to hire the local person. First of all, you want to bail out, so you got to get a bail bondsman, and then you want to hire local counsel. Again, the thing with the laws, if you've never been in trouble before and you do something stupid, it's kind of difficult to end up in jail. I mean, obviously, shoot someone, that's one thing. But, you know, the law is pretty forgiving for people who just mess up once.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's not too serious, there's a good chance you won't be doing any jail time. So with you and your 5 ounces of blow, I'd probably keep you out of jail.
And, of course, they read me my Miranda rights. And
oh, that. Yeah. Yeah, you should never say anything. You shouldn't. I've only had one client ever talking.
When they say you have the right to remain silent, that means just shut up, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it amazes me how even experienced like criminals just start yapping. It just amazes me. You can't talk your way out of it. The cops know more than you think they know.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are professional. You're gonna probably give something up.
When you
completely innocent, you shouldn't say anything.
When you said get a local attorney that knows the people, does each? I mean, there's a rule of law. I mean, it's the same for everyone, everywhere. It's supposed to be anyhow. But is there, for instance, if is there like getting a local attorney? Does that section of the county or that county, does that work different than a county that you're in? Or I mean,
no, it's like anything else. Let me give you an example. There are 21 counties in New Jersey. I'm real primary focus on one county. It's like almost any other profession. You want to hire someone who knows the system. The same law applies, but things change a little differently. One prosecutor or one judge might not take a drug charge as serious as a gun charge. So you just want to know, and it's not just knowing the lawyers, the prosecutors and the judges. It's knowing the people who work at the courts, the team leaders, the people who you have to call if you want to get an adjournment, the people behind the scenes. I'm telling you, it's very important to get someone who's local. You don't want to get an out-of-county lawyer. You have to be very careful about that because you want someone who knows the system in a particular courthouse and who's got a working relationship. I'm not saying anything wrong's going on here. It's just if you're dealing with someone who knows the prosecutors, knows the prosecutors who know them and know that they're serious attorneys and know how to act, you're just better off with that. That's my advice. Now, it's not always the same, but usually, if I got picked up in Baltimore, I would find out who's the local guy or wherever. Elkton, for instance. If I ever got picked up there, I would make sure who's the local guy in Elkton, Maryland.
When they put you in jail, and you said get bailed out, how does that work?
Oh, you have to. Oh, if you want a bail bondsman, you have to post you have to say your bail is $100,000.
Mm-hmm. You
either have to sometimes get what's called a 10% option, which means you can post $10,000 on your own, or you have to hire a bail bondsman. You have to give him $10,000. You may not have to give him the full $10,000, but you would have to up front. But you have to hire a bail bondsman. They would post a bond. It's interesting. The bail bonds is actually enshrined, and I don't know if you know this. It's actually the right to bail is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. I guess Alexander Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin knew the importance of bail after a night of carousing, but it's actually a right under the Constitution to have a right to bail.
When I've been picked for jury duty, excuse me, several times here in Sussex County.
Okay. Down
here in Lower Delaware, never got to be on a jury, but I was in the pool.
Okay.
But we did sit through the proceedings where they were picking jurors. And I found that kind of interesting, but yet at the same time, I thought it was somewhat humorous. Maybe I'm morbid, but it's like we used to play in the schoolyard, and we'd pick up teams for was going to play baseball. We was going to pick up teams. I picked Jimmy, and they picked Frank, and so on and so forth. I don't want Harry because he's too slow, and so that's what it reminded me of. And I know it's a serious deal, but what do you look for when you're picking a jury?
Well, it's funny. I have a whole selection on basically a chapter on jury selection. I have what's called the politically incorrect guide to picking a jury. And to be honest with you, what you're looking for is basically liberal-minded people, and it's people who aren't necessarily just going to believe the police just because they're police officers. I have like a little joke I have is that my feeling is if I thought someone would have voted for me when I was in the state, when I was running for politics, I wouldn't want him in the jury box. But if someone was going to vote for my opponent, I would want him in the jury box. You're looking for African Americans. You're looking for folks who are Jewish. And then this is, I don't want to get the wrong impression. This is a very broad stroke. This is a very broad stroke that I'm painting here. You want folks who are Jewish. You want people with advanced degrees, especially like English advanced degree, like non-mathematical, non-scientific advanced degree, things like that. Those folks that you just generally, it's like counting cards. You can't guarantee you're going to win, but you get a better chance of winning. Mm-hmm. But again, every case is different. I have a section on jury selection. It is extremely important. A lot of people think, a lot of experienced criminal defense attorneys think picking a jury is the most important part of a case, and it might very well be.
Now, if I'm the prosecutor, you're the defense, don't we both get to pick people?
Correct, and you both get to knock them off. You both have challenges, which means you can knock a person off for almost any reason you want. Prosecutors can't just knock off people if they're African American, but outside of that, you can pretty much knock a person off for almost any reason.
So it's possible that you could go through a huge jury pool before you find the people to sit. Yeah,
it is true. And actually, another case I write about. I had a murder trial, the eyeliner case. We actually worked out a deal at the last moment because we're trying to pick a jury over July 4th, and no one wanted to serve, and no one could serve on that particular case. And we actually managed to work out a deal because we couldn't get a jury. But sure, I mean, there's a finite number of challenges for like a murder case, for instance. A defense attorney would only get 20 challenges, and the state, I believe, has 12 challenges. So it's not infinite. You just can't go through people nonstop. And it's very rare that you use all your challenges. It happens, but it's rare.
This Mr. Smith fella,
yes,
that had never been in trouble before, how did they end up picking him out and arresting him?
You know what? He was going to a job. He was working two jobs, and he was going to a telemarketing job. And he was waiting at a bus station in Lawrence, which is a town outside of Trenton. And the cops just picked him up from a robbery. They stuck him in the back of a car. They drove up, and the victim said, it was a 19-year-old girl, said, "Oh, yeah, that's the guy who robbed me." The problem, he was in the back seat of a police cruiser, and the reason why this is important is because my client's 6'4", and but he looks even taller because he's so thin. And the robber in the case could not have possibly been more than 6 feet tall. So, had they bothered to stand him up, they would have seen that he wasn't the guy. But it was, he was in the back of the car. They shined a light in his face, and the girl said, "Oh, that's him. That's the guy who did it." And they arrested him. And he was waiting to take a bus to his telemarketing job. And the next thing you know, he's in the police cruiser going up to the workhouse.
Wow.
The case, again, it's pretty rare, but this particular case was a travesty.
When they say you have you have a right to have an attorney, and if you can't afford one will be appointed, just how good is the public defense attorneys?
I write about that also. I used to basically be a public defender for a couple of years, and it was great. I thought I did a good job, and some of the best lawyers I knew were public defenders. It varied. See, the thing about being a public defender is they're so involved. They know so many people. They deal with the prosecutors on a very regular basis. The judges know them, and they're usually pretty good lawyers. That's all they do. They just focus on this. There's a whole group of them there, and they kind of talk among themselves. They know what to do and what not to do. And Mercer County in particular has some very good lawyers. And I got to be honest with you, when I started working in a county called Middlesex, there were a bunch of public defenders up there who were some of the best lawyers I ever knew. Now, that being said, some of them are younger, some of them are overworked, so it's sort of the luck of the draw in a lot of ways. But that being said, they're even the ones who might not be that great, who are overworked, they're well supervised. And, there are a lot of private counsels who aren't that great either.
Mm-hmm.
So, the public defender's offices really aren't that bad. The problem is they have so many cases, it's difficult to give the individualized attention. And like anything else, when you're getting paid to do something, it's a lot easier. When someone's paying you money to do something, it's only human nature to focus more on it.
When these does a public defender? I mean, is there like, okay, this public defender over here, he can only handle, say, 10 people. Is there a limit to how many they can handle, or do they just stack them up?
Not really. I mean, they just hire a certain amount of people and they put them in there.
Wow.
And it's not so much the cases, the type of cases. Like, you don't want to have a whole bunch of murder trials, murder cases for a brand new lawyer. That would be that'd be bad news. But again, they do a pretty good job, and people complain about them. They don't give the individualized attention that a private counsel should give.
Right.
We just have fewer cases, to be honest. But they do a good job, by and large.
What's life like in prison? I mean, if we've never been in prison, we don't know what it's like, other than hearing these horror stories. So.
Well, I think it's pretty horrendous. I mean, you should not you should not want to be going to prison. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
You should not want. Obviously, you should be not wanting to go to jail. I have a section. I also have a little bit about the workhouse at Mercer County, which is the county jails are called the workhouse, as opposed to state prison where you go after you're sentenced.
This man that I was telling you about, Kenzel Evans, who wrote the book Breaking the Silence,
yes,
out of Washington D.C. He laid his soul bare from beginning to end. He was in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, in the big house.
Okay.
And he was there when Jimmy Hoffa was there. In fact, he had conversations with Jimmy Hoffa and so on and so forth. But he was talking about the hustles that they do in jail. For instance, he was, and eventually he did quit his hustles, but he was a winemaker in prison where he'd bootleg.
Hooch.
And mostly, he said, mostly everybody had some kind of a hustle, whether you sell whatever you have for cigarettes or money or whatever. And he said there was a lot of entrepreneurs in prison. And for instance, when he came out, he now has a big limo service that he carries some very, very important people around in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, I know it's against the prison rules, but from the guys that I've heard being in there, they all have a hustle.
Again, in my book, Jacket, Trials of New Jersey Criminal Defense Attorney, I write about the hustles. I write about the underground economy. I have a recipe for making hooch, jailhouse prison. I actually have a recipe. I explain how to make a jailhouse tattoo, or how one's done. So I go into that into a little detail. So if folks are interested in that sort of thing, I cover that in the book as well.
And my wife will tell you, there's a lot of times that I think about things that what she calls the normal people. I debate that with her too, but what she calls the normal people don't think about. But my reply to her is always, a wise man once said, there's nothing new under the sun. So if I'm thinking about it, somebody else has already thought about it. But I thought about and I think about the amazing brain thrust that is locked up, whether it's county jails or state prisons or federal prisons. When you stop and think about, if some of these fellas and girls would exert a small part of that brain thrust that they have for good instead of the bad, it's hard to tell what they could accomplish.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't know about that. I mean, a lot of these, a lot of folks are in jail, quite frankly, was just not that bright.
Mm-hmm.
To give you a quick story, I remember when I first started practicing, I had to see this kid in jail. And he said, "Hey, Mr. Hartmann," he was in panic when he saw me. "Mr. Hartmann, you got to get me out of here. I've been in jail 11 months, and my girl's about to give birth to our first kid." And it's like, well, wait a second. He said, "You're here 11 months?" I said, "Yeah." And your girlfriend's about to give birth to a baby? He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, then hope that works for you." True story. Yeah, he didn't realize,
yeah, that. Yeah, I get you.
All right, you got that.
Yeah, man, I get that one.
That's a true story. I couldn't believe it. But a lot of, I remember having a conversation with a bunch of kids who were charged with a crime, and I said, you guys, I mean, what do you're making money? Some of these, some of these young guys are making $1,000 a night slinging drugs, and so what do you guys do with all your money? And I said, we get sneakers and stuff. I'm just thinking, they put the money aside. My gosh, in a year you could probably buy a McDonald's or something like that. Start a franchise or something like that. But they don't think about it like that. It's just strange. I mean, people just do crazy things.
Did they tell you what they do with their money?
Yeah, they buy sneakers, they have a good time, they spend money to go to Atlantic City, stuff like that. They're not investing it for the future. They're not buying bonds or anything like that.
Oh man, what's one of the most intense trials or people or charges that you've defended?
Well, I was involved in a pretty nasty case. A woman was charged with killing her young child and beating him. That was a pretty rough case. I really didn't talk about it in the book because, quite frankly, I didn't really want to get into it too much detail. But that was a particularly rough case. The eyeliner case was an intense case. We actually worked it out right before trial, but that was pretty intense as well.
What's it like, John? When, and I know it's our system, it's our rights to have someone defend us. What's it like to defend someone that is just as guilty as sin?
Well, again, it's like this. First of all, it's really not my job because that's not the way the system's set up. Be rest assured, most of the people who are in the criminal justice system are either guilty of what they're charged with or guilty of something. Mm-hmm. So it's my job. Again, we gave the example of you are driving, you have cocaine in your possession, but never been in trouble before. Well, should I defend you to make sure you get probation, to make sure hopefully you don't have a criminal record? Uh-huh. Of course, that's my job. That's the way the system's set up. That there are very few really bad people we represent, but we represent a lot of guilty people. But it's the state brought the charges. The state has to prove the charges, and I'm there to make sure A, they have a strong case, they can prove it, or B, work something out where my client, the penalties he's facing are minimized. Even just keeping a guy from having a criminal record is tremendous. You're walking around the criminal record, especially nowadays in this economy, it's going to be almost impossible to get a job. And if you can't get a job, you're just going to be back to doing what you were doing. Mm-hmm.
I got you. That makes sense the way that you explained that.
Yeah. Again, everyone is against criminal defense attorneys until they
need one.
With crime or their kid gets charged with a crime. You have no idea you get a DWI, driving while intoxicated, or your child gets a DWI and is driving drunk one night. He might be the greatest kid in the world, but he made one mistake, had too much to drink, and now he's facing jail time. So all of a sudden you want a lawyer who's going to be actively defend your rights. And again, I'm not making this stuff up. This is the way that our founding fathers and the people set up and our governments have set up the system.
Right. What about a grand jury? They're secret, right?
Yeah, well, you can get grand jury transcripts after a while, but it's very rare to beat a case. I've done it once or twice, but it's pretty rare to beat a case before the grand jury. There's an expression you get in the grand jury can indict a ham, or you can get prosecutor can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, and it's pretty much the case. It's very easy to get someone indicted.
Does it get pretty hot and heavy in the courtroom?
Not usually. Sometimes during trials, especially serious trials, it does. Not usually.
And there is humor in there.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's intense. First of all, people do stupid things, so it's difficult not to laugh in a lot of ways. But sure, there's some humor. I mean, it's not a joke. It's not a comedy hour.
Right.
Serious stuff going on, but so there's a lot of tension, and I think people appreciate it when there can be a joke or two, especially clients, quite frankly.
Judges. I've always been fascinated by judges. And they sit up there on the bench, and primarily a judge is there, in layman's terms, almost as a referee, right? To make sure you're right, make sure that the prosecutor's right, things don't get out of hand.
Correct. To an extent, sure. I think judges tend to be a little more pro-state oriented. It's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, they're supposed to just keep it straight.
Like Judge Ito when the O.J. Simpson trial was going on.
Yes. I guess he gets it pretty straight. And everyone complains about him, but I guess he gave a pretty straight case.
Yeah, I would definitely no lawyer. I thought he did all right. So
did OJ.
but they were always busted on him for some reason, So
that's right. Johnny Carson was always making fun of him.
yeah. I mean, gee, the guy was between a rock and a hard place to start with, but nonetheless. Your other book, The American Partisan.
Correct.
Is that about the founding fathers and?
It's a straight-up history book, and it's pretty interesting. It's about Henry Lee, who was Robert E. Lee's father, and he was a very young cavalry officer. He started fighting when he was 19, 20, and he was involved. He was head of the kind of the cavalry for Washington. He wrote a pretty well-known memoir dealing with the fighting down south from 1781 to 1783.
Uh-huh.
But he was pretty involved up here in the New Jersey region, Pennsylvania, and southern New York from 1777 to 1780. He missed the Battle of Trenton just barely by a month, but battles of Trenton and Princeton. But he was very involved. And I like New Jersey. I like New Jersey history. I kind of wanted to write a book about the Revolutionary War, and when I started researching it, this guy's name kept on popping up, and I just felt his life would be an interesting avenue for telling that. So I wrote that a while ago. That was published in 2000. It's The American Partisan, Henry Lee and the Struggle for Independence. It was not completely different from Jacket. There's no jokes. There's no light banter. It's just a straight-up history. It's pretty well researched, I think, at least. And, if you're interested in the Revolutionary War, I suggest take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm a real history fanatic. We had a fellow on last week, if I could say his last name, Len Lamensdorf.
Okay.
Who is an author, a playwright. He's done he's done a film, but he wrote about a slave that served with George Washington for over 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, and you never see it in the history book. In fact, I never heard of it
I never heard of it either. Until
I hooked up with Len, and he was so kind to send me the book plus the DVD of the play. It's just tremendous. This man that served with George Washington. I mean, he fought with him. When Washington was shot off of his horse in one of the battles, this man rode up and brought another horse to him right away. He was an avid fox hunter like George Washington, and George Washington said that he was a much better shot. He was a better fox hunter, and I mean, it was incredible because I never heard of anything like that. until then.
I had no idea. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And so when you guys get down into the start drilling down deep into those kind of things, boy, I get all warm and fuzzy on the inside. So that's the American Partisan.
Yes, sir.
Henry Lee and the Struggle for Independence, 1776 to 1780.
Yes, sir.
And we can get that at Amazon and Barnes & Noble too, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Well, Amazon for sure. Barnes & Nobles, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if you can, to be honest with you. And you can't. That's not available on a Kindle.
On Kindle.
It is not.
Okay. And you're working on your first novel.
Correct.
Any timeline when we'll see it? When you'll be done?
Actually, it's done whenever anyone publishes it, if ever. So we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's going to pick it up.
Well, you never know. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's written a book. It seems like.
That's
I've met like an amazing number of lawyers since my book came out who either have just written a book or have something that can be published. But listen, it's something. Actually, I read one book by another lawyer, and I didn't have high expectations for it, but it turned out to be a pretty good book. I was pleasantly surprised by it. So it's nice. I think people intuitively want to do something creative, especially when we have jobs which are we have jobs we have to work at. So music and writing is certainly something people are painting. But almost everyone has something, and a lot of people have written books, so it's interesting. I mean, it's fun to come across what other people have done,
especially with the technology that we have today.
Correct. It's very easy to get a book published. I mean, it costs you a couple $1,000 to get thrown up on the internet.
This stuff,
nice one too. For a couple $1,000, you can get a nice job done.
Yeah, this stuff just blows me away.
Correct.
Because I say so many times, we had nothing like this when I was a kid growing up. I guess the most fascinating piece of machinery as far as gadgets and gadgets goes was the old push-button ad machine. You'd push the buttons and then pull the crank, and it would put things on paper. And then when the transistor radios come out, I mean, whoa. I mean, we were uptown if you had a transistor radio. And I look at this stuff now, it just overwhelms me. I mean, in my wildest imagination, John, I would have never thought that someday I would be sitting behind a microphone in a studio with a laptop, and I didn't even know what a laptop computer was. I didn't even know what a computer was. But I could never imagine talking to someone in the state of New Jersey while I'm in the state of Delaware, other than through Ma Bell, or talking live to someone in London or Morocco or Italy. I mean, this stuff just blows me away, and I become speechless when I start thinking about it, and I stutter when I start talking about it. But with the books that's being published now, and there's some good ones out there. It's just that there's so many of them that you can't keep up with it. Yeah,
I mean, I just passed over 1,000 sales. I have about 1,100, which is pretty good. So I'm pretty happy about that. But that was quite an achievement. You're right. There's so many books out there. Apparently, if you sell 5,000, you're on the New York Times bestsellers list, and 3,000 is considered a very respectable number.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and again, you can get a book published pretty easily nowadays, which is technology.
But
whether or not people are going to buy it, but you hear these stories that people throw up a book for 99 cents on Amazon, on a Kindle, and next in a year they're selling 500,000 copies. It happens.
Yeah, it's incredible. We had another fellow on several months ago. He is a criminal defense lawyer out of Dallas, and his name is Jack Duffy, and he's a real JFK assassination man.
Okay.
And he wrote a book, and I have read, because I was 15 when all that stuff happened, I have read oodles and oodles of articles and books, and I must say that this was one of the best books that I have ever read about JFK's assassination. And he's in the process of writing another book. In fact, I saw today that he just edited chapter 9, so he's moving closer to the end.
And what's the name?
Pardon? You're breaking.
Our text not that great.
You're breaking up on me.
Yeah, our text not. I'm sorry. Wait a second here. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, gotcha. What'd you ask me? What the?
What's the book coming? You said he just wrote another book.
Yeah, he just started another book, and his book was called "The Man of 2023."
Okay.
And what he did was he used fiction, but he put all the historical facts amongst it. He like he was weaving something, you know. And he used the old time machine thing to get these people in that particular year back to 1963 and so on and so forth. But, I mean, the facts that he had in that book was just fantastic. And his book is doing really, really well. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah, so I guess it's like everything else. If you just keep banging away, like one old man told me one time, if you throw enough of that stuff against the wall, some of it's going to stick.
That is true. Now, where are you guys located?
We're in Laurel, Delaware, down here in Sussex County. We call it Lower Delaware down here.
The last time I was down there was 1990. I think I went to the Dover Downs. Is that near there?
Yeah. You was we're in the southern part of the state. Yeah, you was
Monster Mile.
Yeah,
right?
you was only like 40 miles from us.
Okay.
Yeah, you know the state's not that big. It's only like 89 miles long and just a little bit wide. So I can imagine how small Rhode Island is.
I wrote a little bit in the first book I wrote. There was he was down in Delaware a little bit, basically foraging for food. Kent County, is that Kent County?
Yep. Kent County. Yep.
Kent County was there trying to get food for the Continental Army. But I used to drive. I went to school in Washington, so I remember driving through Delaware all the time, at least the northern part of Delaware.
Mm. There's a lot of famous people come out of New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of musicians. I've had, I must have had 3, 4, 5 musicians or groups that's come out of New Jersey. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of talent in New Jersey.
It's a mecca.
Yeah.
It's a mecca for talent.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, it's not just the Jersey Shore, folks. It's there's a lot of interesting, smart people up here.
It's what do you think it is? Do you think it's the water you're drinking, or what makes y'all so intelligent up there and so talented?
You know what? It's not so much the talent. There's a lot of creativity up here. And by the way, I'm not throwing myself in this boat, but there are a lot of very creative people. I think a lot of it has to do with an insecurity being located between New York and Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
And if you're not from New Jersey, the people from those areas always seem to be looking down, growing up with the Jersey jokes.
Uh-huh.
I think that must have a lot to do with it. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of, you have Bruce Springsteen, Frank Sinatra, Bon Jovi. I mean, a lot of famous musicians have come out of New Jersey, of all places. And you wouldn't think it would be the case, but it is. A lot of famous actors as well.
Yeah, if somebody took the time, and I'm sure they already have, and really researched the people that's come out of New Jersey, it would that would be very interesting.
I wrote about not to go back to my book, but I kind of wrote about that as well. The folks who came from here, Jack Nicholson, Bruce Willis, John Travolta, Lou Costello, Jerry Lewis. Meryl Streep, Queen Latifah. They're all from New Jersey.
Wow.
And that's just the. You got shows like The Sopranos, Jersey Shore, Boardwalk Empire. Little shows, basically shows about New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, back in the 50s, everything was popping. Everybody wanted to go down to the Jersey Shore, and that was all hot spot in the summertime. That was the place to go. But John, I really appreciate you taking the time. I've enjoyed our little chat.
Oh, it's been great, George. Thank you so much.
I read somewhere. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Nope, it's not there. But I can't quote it verbatim, but it went something like this. When you talk with John W. Hartmann, it'll be just like chatting with someone across the kitchen table or something to that effect. And you know what? Whoever wrote that was absolutely right.
It's my wife. She's probably the one person who wouldn't say that.
Well, even if that's the fact, it's true, and I appreciate you, John, because you're just a plain, ordinary, normal fellow that's doing a great service for a whole lot of people, and I appreciate that. And we'll push your book. The one book is called Jacket: The Trials of a New Jersey Criminal Defense Lawyer, and the other is The American Partisan, Henry Lee and the Struggle for Independence, 1776 to 1780. And the best place to go is Amazon, right?
I would think so, or Kindle. That's correct.
Okay.
Thanks, George. Nice talking to you, buddy.
Thank you, sir, and I hope you come back, and good luck on that book.
You know what? If I ever get it published, I'll give you a holler.
All right, do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was interesting. I like people like that. I mean, just easy to talk to, and, well, you know what I'm saying. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll be back right after this.
You left me, I waited every night by the phone. You left me one message, you said you won't be coming home. And all the while, I was praying you'd change your mind. Time went by, now I know that I've changed mine. So if you want to reach me, the number's in the dresser drawer. Just dial 1-800, I don't care anymore. I seen the light, gotta move along. Yes, I found me a brand new love, singing me a brand new song. And if you want to reach me, it's painted on the bedroom door. Just dial 1-800, I don't care anymore. I loved you like water running down a waterfall. So deeply, completely, I didn't see it coming at all. 'Cause you were working late. Too many nights I didn't see you and my old best friend. For so long it was killing me. Yeah, but now I know there ain't no use in keeping score. So dial 1-800, I don't care anymore. It's all too clear, the lines I've drawn. Yes, I found me a brand new love, in case you got your radio on. I got the operator standing by to underscore. Just dial 1-800, I don't care anymore. Yeah, if you want to reach me, it's chiseled in the kitchen floor. Just dial 1-800, I don't care anymore. Go on, keep the house, I sprayed it on the garage door. Just dial 1-800, I don't care anymore.
'77 South. I don't think he cares anymore, do you? I want to say thanks to John W. Hartmann, criminal defense attorney out of the state of New Jersey, for being with us tonight. The author of 2 books. Let me get my paper again. I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. I've always done that. Anyhow. Author of 2 books. Jacket, The Trials of a New Jersey Criminal Defense Lawyer, and The American Partisan, Henry Lee and the Struggle for Independence, 1776 to 1780. You can get both of those books. The best place to get them, if you want them in Kindle form or Nook form, go to Amazon for Jacket and The American Partisan. So do yourself a favor. And he has a lot to say about a lot of things in those 2 books. I'm sure you will enjoy the reads. Boy, there's so much stuff, as we were discussing. There's so much stuff out there to read. It would just, if somebody just bring you the food and water, you could just sit there and read the rest of your life and never even dent what is available to read nowadays. I mean, think of how many books have ever been published in the history of mankind. And there I go thinking about stuff like that again. But the explosion of books that have been authored since all this technology has literally exploded in our society. Everybody is writing books, and it's good. It's good. Everyone has a story to tell. Write it down. Get it out there. It's your story. Somebody's going to be interested in it in one way or another. Let me share with you one more time our guest for tomorrow night. His name is Stephen J. Wise, a man who served in the Second World War. He's a highly decorated World War II veteran, and he broke his 70-year silence to reveal the price of a soldier's bravery and the effects of PTSD. He was awarded the Legion of Honor, 2 crux, and I can't say this word, that this was given to him by France, and the American Bronze Star, and he was the only American to be awarded the French Resistance Medal. Second Chance. It's a good book. Trust me, it's a good book. Tells the unflinching story of this young soldier's experiences during the war and his subsequent undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder, which could have crippled his life. For you men and women that suffer from PTSD, and we didn't always know what this thing was. Back in the Second World War, they called it battle fatigue, shell shock. When we come home from Vietnam, we had no idea what this thing was called. But there's been a lot of research done over the years on post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just as real as the hand at the end of your arm is. It's just as real as the sun is when it comes up every morning. It's just as real can be. This man landed on the beaches of southern France in 1944. He and 7 others became separated from their company during a ferocious battle in central France. Caught behind enemy lines and on the run from the Germans, they managed to evade capture and escape with the help of the French resistance. Listed as missing in action in France, he served with the French resistance and an OSS operational group behind enemy lines. For these exploits, he was awarded the French Resistance Medal, the only American that was ever honored. And recently, that was in 1999, On June 22nd, 2007, he was elevated in rank to Officer of Honor in the Legion. And he said, I wanted to share the story of my generation with the next, which had no direct experience of the magnitude and trauma of total war, the consequences of defeat, and the price of victory. I want to read that to you one more time. Listen to it. Because I'm afraid that we live in a culture today that is exactly what this man is saying. I wanted to share the story of my generation with the next one, which had no direct experience of the magnitude and trauma of total war. The consequences of defeat. Think about it. The consequences of defeat and the price of victory. He lives in London now, and he'll be with us tomorrow night. He has a master's and a doctorate in war studies from King College, London, and a master's degree in clinical psychology, and conducts tours and lectures on the subject of the French resistance, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the psychology of soldiers. Dr. Wise supports troops returning from war zones by helping treat PTSD. It's a fantastic book, Second Chance by Dr. Stephen J. Wise. He will be with us tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live from London, which means that will be 11:30 p.m. UK time. So to our friends over there in UK, and I think Italy is 6 hours difference from us, so that would be like 12:30 a.m. That would be 12:30 a.m. Your time. He will be with us, so tune in tomorrow night, regardless of where you're at. Tomorrow night's Friday night. If you're in the UK, or if you're in Italy, or someplace in Europe, in France, stay up and listen to Dr. Stephen Wise. It's going to be a good one. And there's something that took place in his life I won't mention tonight. We'll bring it up tomorrow night in our discussion. But he will be with us live from London. Live from London tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. our time, 11:30 p.m. UK time, and 12:30 a.m. in the morning. That's 12:30 a.m. in Italy and other parts of Europe. So be with us tomorrow night. Wow. We've had an incredible week thus far. We have we've covered a lot of territory, and our 4 guests that we have had this week have all been fantastic. Each and every one of them.
They call me sugar and saucy. I'm cute, but I'm bossy. So if you want a doormat, don't call me. Got you like you on my speed dial. But baby, if you keep up, you can hang for a while. There's always too many men, too little time. If you're lucky, boy, I'll make you mine. 'Cause I see that Lone Star look on your face. You might be my next mistake. I ain't been drinking, but I'm sure messed up. 'Cause baby, tonight I'm addicted to love. You're just the type that does it for me. With that dirty t-shirt and them holy jeans. Let's take a drive through this rodeo town. Baby, I'll be the bull, you'll be the clown. With those Wranglers and Spurs, these good intentions we run. So hold on, hands, exactly saying that. 'Cause I see that Lone Star look on your face. And you might be my next mistake. I ain't been drinking, but I'm sure messed up. 'Cause baby, addicted to love. Yeah, I'm a hard one to handle if you know what I mean. See that old style look on your face, and you might be my next mistake. I ain't been drinking, but I'm sure messed up. 'Cause baby, tonight I'm addicted to love. 'Cause I see that old style look on your face, you might be my next mistake. I ain't been drinking, but baby, tonight I'm addicted to love. Addicted to love.
Adley Stump, Addicted to Love. And don't forget, on Saturday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we air Pacific Garden Missions program entitled Unshackled. This Saturday, this Saturday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be bringing you Unshackled. And I'll tell you what, we're getting reports from people in different places, and we're looking at some of the numbers. People are really enjoying the stories. These are true life stories of real individuals on the program entitled Unshackled. It's produced in front of a live audience in Chicago, Illinois. And we have the availability to go back far back into the archives, or the very present one that's available this week, and everything in between. And we just count it a real privilege and a delight to bring to you every Saturday night, 6:30 p.m., Unshackled. And then again Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So tune in. Tomorrow night we'll tell you what the feature is on Saturday evening and what the feature will be on Sunday morning. We want you to become a loon. That's right. We want you to become a loon. What does it take to become a loon? Well, all you have to do is tune in to the George Espinlove Show, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Spreaker.com. You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to purchase anything. You just sign in. And by you signing in and listening to us, that indicates to us that you want to become a full-fledged loon. Now, I must tell you, although it doesn't cost you anything, and you do not have to sign anything to become a full-fledged loon, there will be side effects. So having said that, we here, the staff, myself, everyone that's involved with producing the George Espinlove Show, we cannot, excuse me, we will not or cannot be responsible for any side effects that may occur to you due to the fact that you tuned in to the George Espinlove Show. You're on your own. But not to worry. Don't worry what people says. Don't worry what people think. Don't worry how they look at you. Let your hair down. Come unglued every now and then, because you are a full-fledged loon. Yes, there will be side effects. What they are depends upon who you are. But every one of us here at the Funny Farm, each and every one of us has one or a whole bunch of side effects. And you know what? It doesn't bother any of us in the least. So, become a loon. Welcome to the family.
Hey, little sister, you better sit down, 'cause there's something you have to know. Take off your coat, 'cause I have something to tell you. Have some coffee, you try to relax and listen to what I'm saying. Prepare yourself, 'cause this will take quite a while. Your man is cheating on you, and you are the last one to see. Another woman stole his heart, and I bet it's me. Hey, little sister, you better believe what I tell you is true. I see the fear in your eyes, but you got the right to know. I know that you hate me, I can feel your pain, but I can't let you live in a lie. Better take a decision to fight or just say goodbye. Your man is cheating on you, and you are the last one to see. Another woman stole his heart, and I bet I know you think it's a sin, but sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. Life is a game. Hey, little sister, I won't cry for you, 'cause there's nothing I can do. I made my own choices, and now it's time for you. Your man is cheating on you, and you are the last one to see. Another woman stole his heart, and I bet it's me.
Yeah, I saw you, Charlie. Charlie was waving at me. Never mind. Our thanks to John W. Hartmann, criminal defense lawyer out of New Jersey, for being with us tonight. He's written 2 books, one entitled Jacket, The Trials of a New Jersey Criminal Defense Lawyer, and the other one, The American Partisan, Henry Lee and the Struggle for Independence, 1776 through 1780. And he is working on his first novel. In fact, he said he has it done. He's just waiting for a publisher to pick it up. So you can get these books at Amazon. Amazon.com. We're all familiar with Amazon. Good gravy, Espinlove. John W. Hartmann, and Hartmann is spelled Hartmann. John W. Hartmann. So go to Amazon and type in John W. Hartmann, Hartmann, and it'll take you to where you need to be so you can look at these books. Tomorrow night, Stephen Wise will be with us live from London. Yes, I know, Charlie. Charlie's over there pointing at the big clock on the wall, and then he's got this. He just got him a wristwatch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He just got him a. I don't want to embarrass the fella. or he'll smack me upside my head when we get off the air. All right, Charlie said, "Go ahead and tell you." He just got this. He just got this wristwatch. When was it? Yesterday? Last night? Anyhow, he come in today, and he kept holding his arm out the way you do when you look at your watch, and kept, to make sure that everybody here would know that Charlie got him a watch, and that's what he was doing. Well, finally, I wasn't going to pay attention to him because that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to be noticed so someone would say, "Hey, Charlie, where'd you get a watch?" Because Charlie never wore a watch before. And so finally I thought, well, I'll help the guy out. So I said, "Charlie, did you get you a new watch?" Oh, boy, that did it. Here he come. He come prancing over to me, and, he held his arm out the way you do when you look at your watch, and he said, "Well, what do you think about that, Pops?" I said, "Well, that's really nice, Charlie." And I said, ask him the little things, where'd you get it? When'd you get it? I never saw you wear a watch before. Why are you wearing a watch now? And blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that you do when, you're talking to somebody that just got something. But he told me all those things, and then by now we had a little crowd gathered around. Everybody's looking at Charlie's watch, saying oohs and ahs and wow and wee, and I'm going to get me one of them. And so, all that stuff. Well, I looked at it again. I took a real good look at it, and it's a goofy watch. No, I don't mean I don't mean that it's a goofy watch. It's a watch that has Goofy in it. Goofy, Walt Disney Goofy guy. Yeah, Goofy, the dog Goofy. That's one of Charlie's heroes, Goofy. And he's just as proud as a peacock because he has this Goofy watch. But it's him. It's Charlie. I just thought I'd throw that out there for you anyhow, because, this cloud of insanity is beginning to fall upon us. I see it. It's coming down. It's coming down. It's coming down. There's an old song that says, "Coming down, down, down." I can't remember what, Anyhow, yes, I see it, Charlie. Charlie says, he's pointing to his watch. Because the last two nights, last night and including tonight, when we get off the air, we've got something very important that we have to do. It was the same thing that we did last night, so we have another appointment to do the same thing again tonight. So he's over there pointing to his Goofy watch and letting me know that, it's time to cut it off. And yes, I see the caboose coming, Charlie. My goodness gracious. I can't watch you and think of what I'm saying at the same time. You know what I mean? Anyhow, would you please pass the word that we have a call-in number so people can make comments and ask our guests questions? The number is 302-497-3414. That is a Skype number. So Skype to Skype is free from anywhere in the world. 302-497-3414 or George.Espenlaub, Espenlaub. The reason why we got a Skype number is for people that don't have Skype. They can still call in and be part of the show. They can call in from their cell phone or even from the comfort of their own home. They can pick up their home phone and call us. 302-497-3414. So don't be afraid to ring us up and make a comment or ask our guests questions. I know that they would be delighted to answer your question. I see it, Charlie. I see it. I see it. It's coming down the track. I see it. All right. Yes. Okay. Let me finish, and then we'll go to where we have to go. Oh, boy. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I enjoyed the fact that you hung out with me. If you didn't hear us live, I enjoyed the fact that you're tuning in and listening to it. And remember, each and every show is saved. It's archived. You can go and you can listen to it. You can download it absolutely free. Absolutely free. You can download one, some, or all of the shows that we have there in the archives. So, whichever way you're listening, live or later on, I want to say thank you to all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world for listening to the George Espinlove Show. And remember, there's a whole lot of love that comes to you from the Funny Farm. We mean that. If it's nighttime where you're at, you have a good one. If it's already tomorrow, you have a good one there too. But wherever you're at, whatever it is, until tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., right here on the Spreaker Network, tune in for the George Espinlove Show and Dr. Stephen Wise, live from London, England, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. And so, until then, this is George Espinlove saying, stay safe, be kind one to another, and don't take no wooden nickels. Well, maybe just a couple. Good night, everybody.